Hi Nana. We were learning about the physical differences between metals and non-metals. Okay, so we have seen some physical differences. We will continue this video with some more physical differences. So there is a property known as malleability. It is a physical property. What is malleability? Malleability is nothing but the property of a substance. Due to that property, that substance can be beaten into thin sheets. Okay, if a substance can be beaten into thin sheets by hammer, then those substances are said to be malleable. Okay, so metals are malleable. Hence, metals can be beaten. If you beat any metal, what happens? It upon beating, finally it turns into very thin sheets. Hence, metals are said to be malleable. Okay, so there are certain exceptions for metals also. Okay, so metals like zinc, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, so they are not very malleable. They are not very malleable. So they are malleable only to a little extent. But all other metals are malleable. They can be made into very thin sheets. Okay. If you speak about non-metals, see non-metals are non-malleable. That means if you hammered a non-metal, what happens? So that non-metal will break down into powdery mass. It becomes powder. They cannot, non-metals cannot be beaten into thin sheets. If you hammer those non-metals, so finally they will become powdery mass. Generally, any substance, if it is beaten, okay, if it is beaten and upon beating, if it breaks, then that substance is said to be brittle in nature. Okay, if a substance break down upon applying some force on it, then that substance is said to be it is said to be brittle in nature. So non-metals, as they are broken down into powdery mass upon applying some force, okay, so hence non-metals are said to be brittle in nature. The next property is ductility. Ductility is also another physical property. Okay, so here, due to ductility, any substance, if it is having ductility, then that substance can be drawn into wires. Okay, that substance can be drawn into wires. So that property is said to be ductility. See, metals are ductile in nature. They are ductile in nature. Why? Because metals can be drawn into wires. Metals can be drawn into wires. Even for this also there are exceptions. Again the same metals, zinc, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Okay, they are non-ductile. So these are non-ductile. We cannot make the wires from zinc, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, though they are metals. Okay, from all other metals we can make wires, very thin wires. Okay, non-metals. See, non-metals are non-ductile. They are not ductile. Non-metals are not ductiles. So non-metals cannot be drawn into wires. Except there is an exception. Except carbon fibers. What are carbon fibers? What are carbon fibers? Carbon fibers are a new allotropic form of carbon. An allotrope, an allotrope of carbon. The carbon fibers are allotrope of carbon. So these carbon fibers are recently developed by the scientists. Okay. So early days, I mean, in the previous years, we don't know what are carbon fibers. So recently, fibers were discovered, and they were invented, and they were developed by the scientists. Because these carbon fibers are highly ductile, as they are highly ductile. Though the carbon fibers, this is made up of carbon, and carbon is a non-metal, but still it is highly ductile. Okay, so hence it is an exception. We can call it as an exception because generally non-metals are non-ductile. Non-metals are non-ductile, whereas metals are ductile. Okay, next property is tensile strength. What is tensile strength? Okay, suppose if a substance, uh, suppose if any substance is taken and some weight is added to that substance, some weight is added to the substance somewhere in the center, what happens? That substance can withstand that weight without breaking. That means it can bear strain. So the strain caused due to this weight, okay, so that strain is bared by this substance. So if we add some more weight, even then this particular substance or else this wire, it can bear some more weight. That means it can bear some more strain. So you got it. So that means here, when compared to, that means as we go on increasing the weight, or else as we go on increasing the strain on this substance, what happens? That substance, it is able to withstand without breaking. Okay, so that means it is having more strength. That substance is having more tensile strength. Okay, so that means at some stage, if we keep on adding some weight, or else if we keep on adding some strain on this material, what happens? At some point, or else at some weight, at some higher weight, what happens? That material may break. This material may break at this point because it cannot bear that much strain which is caused by heavy weights. Okay, so till that material is having tensile strength. Okay, that means different materials will have different tensile strengths. What is tensile strength? Tensile strength is nothing but it is a property of a substance, uh, by which it can bear a lot of strain. It can bear lot of strain. Strain means pain. Simply speaking, strain means pain. So the substance can be bear a lot of strain without breaking. So that property is said to be tensile strength. Generally, metals have high tensile strength. Metals have high tensile strength. They can, if you keep on adding, what happens? They become very thin and thin. Finally, what happens? If you keep on adding the weight, so this area, so this area will become thin and thin, and finally, at one point, it will break down. So till that, the metal is having that much tensile strength. Okay. So tensile strength is nothing but a property of a material by which due to that tensile strength, that material can bear a lot of strain without breaking. That means that material can bear a lot of strain without breaking. if a material can uh, break at certain time, or else if a material can break with a little strain, then that material is having less tensile strength. And if a material can bear lot of strain, then it is having more tensile strength. Okay, so the material with less tensile strength will break down even when applied less strain on that material. Okay, so like this, tensile strength means it is a property of a material which can withstand heavy weight, or else which cannot broken uh, easily upon addition of strain on it. Okay, without breaking, if a substance can bear lot of strain, then that material is said to be having more tensile strength. So metals are having lot of tensile strength, high tensile strength. So metals have high tensile strength. So if you keep on adding weight on that metals, what happens? They elongate. Here in this portion, they become thin. So very thick material. Upon addition, what happens? That thick material will elongate and become thin, very thin and thin. That thick material will become very thin and thin upon addition of weight on it, and finally, at certain point, it will break down. It will break down into two pieces. So till that material is said to be having tensile strength. Okay, right. If you speak about non-metals do not have high tensile strength. So they do not have non-metals do not have high tensile strength. That means non-metals cannot bear a lot of pain at some point. Only with by the addition of little weight, or else they cannot accept much pain. Non-metals, or else much strain. It is related to the strain. So tensile strength is related to the strain. So that means metals can bear lot of strain. Hence, they are said to be having high tensile strength. And non-metals cannot bear a lot of strain. Hence, they are said to be. They do not have high tensile strength. So here there are exceptions for tensile strength of metals also. Metals like the same metals. So these metals these metals stand exception here also. The same metals like zinc, zinc, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth. Okay, so the bismuth, here mercury and gallium also we can add into this list. So these metals, they do not have tensile strength, and if here also, so that means this is about tensile strength. This is about the tensile strength of metals, and non-metals do not have high tensile strength. But exception here also, exception, the same exception. Even carbon fibers. So carbon fibers are are exception to this. Are exception because carbon fibers they have tensile carbon fibers they are as tensile as steel. Carbon fibers are as tensile as steel. That means the tensile strength of carbon, it is almost equal to the tensile strength of steel. The tensile strength of carbon fibers, though carbon fiber is a non-metal, but still it is having a high tensile strength, whereas the other non-metals, they do not have high tensile strength. Carbon fibers are the non-metals which are having high tensile strength. Their tensile strength is almost equal to the tensile strength of steel. So like this, uh, the tensile strength can be discussed. Next, some other physical properties of these substances, like conductivity, electrical conductivity, okay, atomicity. So, and all these things we will discuss now. Conductivity. See, metals are good conductors of electricity. Good conductors of electricity. So, out of metals, silver is best conductor. Silver is the best conductor. So, next to silver is copper. Copper is also, it is also best conductor, but next to silver only. So, silver is the best conductor out of all metals in the, out of all metals. Okay. But in metals, there are some exceptions. Some metals like bismuth, exceptions. Some metals like bismuth, tungsten, bismuth or tungsten, they are poor conductors of electricity. Okay, so bismuth and tungsten, they are what? They are poor conductors. Poor conductors. So that is why electric bulbs, it is made up of material known as tungsten. So when it is poor conductor, what happens? So generally, if a substance does not conduct electricity through it, so that substance will get heated up. So here, the tungsten wire which is present in the bulb, as it is poor conductor, so it gets heated up. As it is heated up, what happens? It glows. Generally, any substance, if when it is heated, if it does not allow heat, or else if it does not conduct that heat, what happens? It will glow. It will glow. So here the materials like bismuth, tungsten, as they are poor conductors, so particularly, so their their conductivity can be discussed like this. So based on this property, based on the property poor conducting property of tungsten, so this tungsten, it is used in the manufacturing of bulbs. Okay, right. Next, if you speak about the conductivity of non-metals, non-metals are bad conductors. They are bad conductors. Non-metals are bad conductors of electricity. Okay, but there are exceptions. Exceptions. Like a graphite. Graphite is a good conductor, though it is a non-metal made up of carbon, but still it is good conductor of electricity. And even gas carbon also. Gas carbon. So these are different allotropic forms of carbon, but they are good conductors of electricity. So these are what? These are good conductors of electricity. But all other non-metals, but all other nonmetals are bad conductors. So like this, the conductivity, there is a difference in the conductivity between metals and non-metals. And if you speak about the other properties like atomicity, what is atomicity? What is atomicity? Atomicity is nothing but number of atoms. Number of atoms present in one molecule. One molecule of that substance. That substance is said to be, so number of atoms present in one molecule of that substance is said to be atomicity. See, metals in their vapor state, in their vapor state, okay, they are monoatomic. Metals in their vapor state are monoatomic. Metals in their vapor state are monoatomic. That is, their molecule contains only one atom. That is, their molecules contain only one atom. Hence, they are said to be monoatomic. Okay. Examples: sodium, potassium, okay, calcium, etc. Okay. Copper, silver, gold. Copper, silver, etc. So we can discuss. Generally, metals are monoatomic in their vapor state. If you speak about non-metals, so in their vapor state, they are what? They are polyatomic. That means, what is polyatomic? If a molecule is having more than one atom, in general, they are said to be polyatomic. Examples: oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. They are diatomic. They are diatomic in their vapor or else in gaseous state. Okay, phosphorus, it is a tetraatomic. Sulfur, arsenic also tetraatomic. Arsenic. So arsenic we cannot discuss that arsenic here because arsenic can be discussed in metals. So sulfur, it is octoatomic. So like this. So atomicity of sulfur is 8. So like this, atomicity can be discussed. Molecules of non-metals in the vapor state are generally polyatomic. Okay. So like this, atomicity. What is atomicity? The number of atoms present in one molecule of that substance is said to be atomicity. So metals are monoatomic, whereas non-metals are polyatomic in their vapor state. Right. Now we will discuss about the another property, alloy formation. Alloys formation. Alloy formation is another property. See, what is an alloy? Alloy is nothing but a homogeneous mixture. A homogeneous mixture. A homogeneous mixture of metal of two or more metals. Two or more metals. That means metals can form homogeneous mixture. So generally, when metals are taken in molten state, if two molten metals, if they are mixed, what happens? They dissolve one in another. So molten metals dissolve in each other to form homogeneous mixture. So this is alloy. It is generally related to metals. Okay. So that means when two or more metals in their molten state they are mixed, what happens? They dissolve in each other. For example, uh, copper plus zinc. So molten copper and molten zinc. So if they are allowed to mix with each other, what happens? So one will dissolve in another. So one will dissolve in another so that they can form a homogeneous mixture. And this homogeneous mixture, it is said to be alloy. It is said to be alloy. So this alloy, it is called as brass. Brass, alloy known as brass. Suppose instead of copper, if we use molten molten tin, then so that means when tin is melted and copper metal is also melted, and if these two are mixed, they dissolve one one in each other. Okay, so that they form a homogeneous mixture, and that homogeneous mixture is nothing but alloy. The name of that alloy is called as bronze. Bronze. So like this. See, why to prepare alloys? Because alloys are prepared because when compared to the property of tin, alloy is having improved properties. Or else when compared to copper, alloy is having improved property. So alloys by alloying will improve the properties of the metals. So when compared to the property of copper, the mixture of copper and tin, it is having better properties. Okay, for example, take aluminum. So with aluminum, aluminum is it is used to prepare the frames of aircrafts. So directly, only aluminum cannot be used to make uh, the frames of aircraft or else aeroplane, because aluminum, it is lighter in weight, or else it is light in weight. So this is very benefit property, as it is light in weight. So aluminum can be that aircraft can be lifted well, but another defect is there for aluminum. It breaks. It breaks because it is having lesser tensile strength. Less tensile strength. So at some point, it may break at some point at some weight. So in order to make use of this aluminum in the manufacturing of aircraft, so we'll convert this aluminum into duralumin. This aluminum is a metal. So this aluminum is converted into duralumin. Duralumin. What is duralumin? Duralumin is is it is a allotrope of aluminium. Duralumin is an allotrope of aluminium. So duralumin can withstand the weight and it cannot be broken easily. So this aluminum, when it is made into duralumin, what happens? So it can withstand weights and hence it can be used in the manufacturing of that aircraft shields or else aircraft bodies. So duralumin, it contains uh, aluminum, copper, and some other substances. So these metals they are melted. Okay, along with the aluminum, copper, some other metals are also mixed. So these metals are melted. These metals are melted and made into a homogeneous mixture. So when this mixture, it is said to be an alloy. It is an alloy known as duralumin. Duralumin is an alloy. So it is having better properties when compared to aluminium. As it is having better property when compared to aluminium, so this aluminium is made into alloy by adding some other substances, some other metals into it, to this one. Okay, so that is why alloying will be very beneficial for us. So alloy formation. So in the alloy formation, so metals can be used. Metals can be made into alloy because when compared to the metal, their alloys have improved property. So instead of using aluminium for making aircraft domes or else aircraft material body, so if you use duralumin, then that aircrafts or else aeroplanes cannot get crashed or else cannot broken down. Okay, so that means metals can be made into alloys. If you speak about non-metals, do not form alloys. Non-metals do not form alloys. Alloys with each other. With each other. Whereas metals can form alloys with each other. But there are some exceptions. Here also some exceptions. Some of the non-metals can be used in the manufacturing of alloys. For example, carbon. See, iron, if you take iron, this is a soft material. It's a soft material. Pure iron is soft material. If you try to construct buildings or else bridges with pure iron, what happens? As it is soft material, so finally that bridge or that house may collapse, may break down or else may collapse, because iron, it is soft material. So to this iron, if we add little amount of carbon, so to the molten iron, if carbon is added, what happens? It forms steel, a substance known as steel. Steel is an alloy. It is an alloy. So it is having good strength. Steel is having good strength. Good strength. So this steel, if we use steel, to construct buildings or else to construct bridges, so those bridges cannot get collapse easily because of good strength. This steel can withstand heavy weights. Okay, the longevity of the steel will be more when compared to the iron. So this iron cannot be used as such in the construction. So this iron is made to steel. This iron is alloyed, okay, to form steel by combining with carbon and some other materials are also added like nickel, chromium, manganese, etc. are also added in little amounts in order to prevent the steel from rusting. So even this steel also get rusted. If it get rusted, what happen? If a rust formation takes place, then slowly that material will become weak and it may break. In order to prevent the formation of rust on the steel, so we will add some metals like nickel or chromium or manganese, etc. Okay, to that steel during the manufacturing of that steel, so that that steel will become a stainless steel. That means it cannot form rust easily. So these metals, they prevent the formation of rust. So like this some of the non-metals can be used like carbon, okay, silicon, phosphorus, etc. Okay, etc. can be used in the manufacturing of some of the alloys. In general, non-metals, they do not form alloys, but some of the non-metals like carbon, silicon, phosphorus, etc. can be used in the manufacturing of alloys. In general, are metals are used to make alloys. Okay, so for example, if you mix mercury with any metal, then that mixture is said to be amalgam. Amalgam. Mercury and sodium amalgam. Sodium amalgam. It is called as sodium amalgam. So we have discussed about this sodium amalgam in the manufacturing of hydrogen. Okay, in that lesson water, or else in the lesson hydrogen we might we have learned about so much sodium amalgam. Okay, so when I mean any metal, when it is mixed with mercury, then it is said to be, okay, any metal. Generally, any metal, when it is mixed with mercury, mercury is also metal. So that alloy is named as amalgam. Amalgams are what? They are alloys only. Because what is alloy? Alloy is a homogeneous mixture of two or more metals. Okay. Hence amalgam, it is also an alloy. So like this we can discuss about alloys. And one more physical property we will discuss, the difference in metals and non-metals. They differ in different physical properties, and one more physical property we will discuss, solubility. Metals and non-metals. Solubility, if you speak, these metals, they are insoluble. Metals are insoluble in water or in other solvents. In other solvents, but still there are exceptions. For example, sodium, potassium, calcium. Okay, they dissolve in water. But in general, metals are insoluble in water or in other solvents. So here there are exceptions. Metals like sodium, potassium, calcium dissolve in water, and they react. They show chemical reactions. For example, sodium, when kept in water, it forms sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. Okay, sodium, it forms sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. And even potassium also will show the same type of reaction. Okay, calcium also will form calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is liberated. So like this. And even some metals like some metals like some metals will dissolve with some liquids. For example, generally metals will react with acids. Okay, so like this. They dissolve in some liquids. Okay, I mean then always a chemical change takes place. So generally they are insoluble. If they are dissolved in water or else in some other liquids, the metals they show some chemical changes. In general, they are insoluble. If they are soluble, then what happens? They show some chemical changes. Right. If you speak about non-metals, these non-metals can dissolve in water. These non-metals can dissolve in water without any chemical change. Without without any chemical change. Without any chemical change. But metals, when generally metals are insoluble. If they are soluble, if they are dissolved in water or else in any other liquid, then they undergo chemical change. But non-metals, they can dissolve in water or else in any other liquid or other liquids without any chemical change. Here, only some non-metals can dissolve. But in general, so even non-metals are insoluble in water. Even non-metals are insoluble in water in general. Okay, so for this we can give examples like oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. See, oxygen is soluble in water. As oxygen is soluble in water, so the living organisms, aquatic organisms, particularly aquatic organisms, the organisms which live in water will get oxygen. Otherwise, they cannot get oxygen. As oxygen is dissolved in water, so that dissolved oxygen can be utilized by the aquatic animals for their respiration. Okay, even nitrogen is also soluble in water. Hydrogen is also soluble in water. So these are present in the air. So when air is dissolved in water, so these substances dissolved in water during that process, particularly in flowing water. And some more substances like chlorine. Chlorine is a non-metal. So here this chlorine, what happens? It show chemical reaction. So it show chemical reaction. So here such type of reactions are also possible. So some can dissolve in water. Some of the non-metals can dissolve in water without any chemical reactions. But some non-metals they react in water with they dissolve in water and show chemical reactions. So when chlorine is added to water, what happens? So it converts into HCl and HOCl. Okay. So what happens? HOCl. So this will, this will be used in the killing of germs. Okay. So we'll add little amount of chlorine gas to water. So that what happens? So this chlorine gas will dissolve in water, and it will convert into HOCl. So that this HOCl, it is used to kill the microorganisms, harmful germs. So this process is said to be chlorination of water. In the same way, iodine, it can dissolve in alcohol. Iodine is soluble in alcohol. To make a tincture of iodine, tincture of iodine is made by dissolving iodine in alcohol. Okay, tincture of iodine, it is used as a medicine. So iodine is a non-metal. Okay, it is dissolved in alcohol to make a medicine known as a tincture of iodine. See, chlorine is also non-metal. It is soluble in water and it shows chemical reactions. So like this, in general, non-metals in general are insoluble in water, but there are some non-metals, they are soluble in water without undergoing any chemical change, and there are some other non-metals, okay, they may dissolve in water or else in some other liquids like alcohol, and they show chemical change. So like this, the solubility, the property of solubility of non-metals can be discussed. Okay, so like this, so these are some of the very important physical differences between metals and non-metals. So we will discuss about some chemical differences between metals and non-metals in the next video.